when two people die, the funeral or the first is done first.
All
so
those are repeated to us. We know everything of it. So maybe if there's any additional thing apart from who very friendly, we know all that.
Nah,
going on from yesterday.
If we hear this was a year ago, madam, so she has signed the share even kinds of yes.
If there's any additional information that we haven't heard, we have already.
Shelley Beck, when never so never yet Shelley. The one to something.
Then the Yama Zion had to get the Zani, the Yaraba Sunday. Amadina, the Empire, until Guamma
Your Majesty, the regular installation is part of the funeral, and if one is skipped, then it will create a situation where some of them cannot patronize the funeral or the installation of the other. That is their position, Your Majesty. Yes.
Now we would have to tell them exactly what we think. So now we have to tell them what we think.
From the discussion, both sides agree that whatever you decide, so if you are going to arbitrate between two children, you should not fear.
No.
Because they are your children.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we thank you very much for these fruitful discussions and what exactly has gone through from yesterday to today. We all are here because we want to find solutions, peace to DAGBON. This morning we've had discussions in the room. We deliberated on where we got yesterday. Said that we should come to listen to you by your comments as we left yesterday. We are not pro Andani or pro Abu. But what is just and fair to DAGBON? The whole issue came up because there has been Nam Muhammadu who died after the Oleni Commission and the Supreme Court judgment that the Supreme Court upheld the findings of the Oleni Commission. The Zahara Kamana Kaman Supreme Court da Maya Kakazan the Nupa Oleni Committee and by the background to that was that Nam Muhammadu Abdullah was installed by a selection committee. Selection committee and the Andanis protested against that. Therefore, it went to the appeal court. And the appeal court, in fact, abrogated the committee of the Oleni committee and said that the Nam Muhammadu Abdullah can be the Yana. Appeal court Brazang Oleni committee man Bashel Mason Kene Namamar Yana. Before that, the Oleni commission has said that the nomination selection and everything of Nam Muhammadu Abdullah was null and void because it was not customary. Ne pwe kalamirano Oleni committee man Rajin Barabamane
benda do social bana mamana mara para kale zo ora para yana.
So then the Andanis then petitioned the Supreme Court.
And then me zangle tai Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court then upheld the Oleni Commission's findings totally.
The Supreme Court
together with the white paper that they presented to the
Supreme
government.
Court zang onupa ne gwamnati nrayina nan banshele inte lara Oleni committee bangma yama. Supreme Court rayina ti yen na zang.
The Supreme Court in upholding that said that the nomination, selection and everything of Na Muhammadu Abdullah was null and void as per the Oleni Commission's report.
Ne ka Supreme Court raza the Supreme Court said
They upheld the findings of the Oleni Commission.
Ka Supreme Court gara yina ti yene prasoma appel ma ka Supreme Court mara yina ente ta dege yene appel ko Oleni committee manara yele to shelma bezang besatele kaman la mamarda para yana.
But in doing so, the Supreme Court and in their orders said certain things.
Ne bemena yene sakte le committee manara yele no pala yana ma bra yele to shelma
that the former Yana Na Muhammadu Abdullah must be recognized as such because in Gabon custom you don't skin a Yana.
Ne bra yele ne dinda kununka o mi jingba ma zuma de sakte ne yana kuronyo ko tura ye ne sakte ne yana kuronyo.
And that being the case, his sons must be recognized as former sons of the Yana.
La ma zo kartune obe de leba kama ya bali yana de.
And the rotational system of Andani Abudu must be adhered to.
Ne ka dinda din dirla ka tabama ne karku dwelle.
That was even in the era of Naya Andani.
Ne la tamami na ya ko da na bi onya velni.
Then later on Na Muhammadu Abdullah died.
Ne ka da changa ka na mamar da ti onya velni ora kana.
And then he was buried in the Katundu.
Ne kabra so katandu.
In doing so, the Abudus then felt that he's been recognized as a Yana.
Ne dinna so katandu ma ka yaba bulin yen a de se tuwjima kama yana kulu.
So it was left with his funeral.
Ne ka dinda panla okulmal.
His son was waiting in Yendi.
Ka o dapale unpalenji ne.
And they requested that the funeral should be performed in the palace.
Ne ka yaba bulin na nrutu ne okulmal yana yele.
And the Yana was of the contention that it cannot be so.
Ne ka yana na kurane lala kutunno.
Because there were no precedents where two Yanas, with all due respect, have been there in Yendi, and therefore it's always that the Yana dies and the funeral is performed by the regent, and that's why the palace is
ne dera jinno ka yana mai mbie binya vian zo de kunya yana yino okane ka ba so aka jilban o bangla ma jinal ka yana pro betra ba.
So hence the son of Na Muhammadu Abdullah still waits in Yendi.
Ne zo ka ama marbi na kuji ne.
But the Abudus then are not going to perform the funeral.
Ka abulin ne yanda bebe mal okulma.
That went on till, unfortunately, we had this predicament of Na Yakubu Andani also
Ne
dying.
kala benoma bebe mal kulma do ya hale ka dal tapat dabang mo tapat kana kubakan.
So we have this also with us now that we have to find solutions to.
Ne ka bebe yala you want to nune ka tunu to bo mal botele.
But it still remains that Na Yakubu Andani was the substantive Yana.
Na maruku de zabane yana ya kuundani yana.
That must be clear.
Nerutune to kahagala kasukamba.
Even if in his lifetime when it was said that he must be recognized as a Yana, he was not the Yana because even in his life the Yana Yakubu Andani was still living there.
Ne de mandra ko ne na mamar yela yana kuruma. Yana ya kuundani yana so kam nrami ka onye yana.
So Yana Yakubu Andani took precedent over Na Muhammadu Abdullah. That should be a fact that we all have to appreciate.
Zo na ya ku nda pa zosa ne so kam daba. Ne ndo mi nyela yamang kema ka so kam tumu otile.
So when in their death, Na Yakubu and Dani take precedent over Na Muhammadu Abdullah.
Nozodinya la bakame na Yakubu kuluntunare yina poi kana Muhammad na tujwani.
What we have to appreciate is that, but for the orders that came after the Supreme Court upholding the Olenu Commission, if it had ended there, now Muhammadu Abdullah's name would have been cancelled, and that his nomination and selection was null and void.
Den nanka Supreme Court da mal kazan ye to shanga pia nere de tuenere lena mama kamo nyela ya na kuruma nibira bazan la ya de to ma tiana na mama yulde ku yila ya na nuya ne fas darna sona kulaji ya tirbe.
But in their wisdom, they felt that the customs and tradition, the fact that he had been there and had been an ordinary Yana, because I know we recognized him as a Yana for a number of years, about say 5 years, whatever years it was. And therefore, the Supreme Court said we have to recognize him also as Yana.
Nrenda nko o jimband mazuma dinama kama yuma anabya ka Supreme Court tura anya kama hankal kutu deal no jimband mazula ka biya ne o chama wala pa zo ka Supreme Court ma Brian ne o mi jimband mazu kama yuma na twenere la jimatu kama onyela yana kubo.
In their lifetime, if he had still lived and then performed, the Abudus had performed the funeral of Na Muhammadu Abdullah, the Yana would have still acted to give a title to his son, the son of Na Muhammadu Abdullah, and then let him leave Yendi to go wherever he would.
Nonka Yana Rabio Nyevene, now Pia Bulmira Yinan La Pulmakara Mal. Ne na kubra na mbolo shel polo ente na mamar bima orinye lo ndinye lo shel polo nzang tu ori ne.
In seeking interpretations of what the Supreme Court said, I was made to appreciate that the orders was for the fact that his sons must be recognized more than him because his time was off, but the sons, in order not to deprive them of the skinship of Yendi.
Ne be on karam Supreme Court ma nra yele to shama la ye to ma ra wur ma kaman na mamar bi betba bitabat bat to pa lo shel polo amana kan mama ama mun tin tam da punga.
Therefore, the issue of who should be the regent first is that Na Yakubu's son takes precedence over Na Muhammadu Abdullah's son.
So di yera to toxer la kala di muyen jilbang na ya ku dapale yen jilbang.
So we need to be very fair to ourselves, be honest with ourselves. Let us try and get the peace that we want there. That is not depriving Na Muhammadu Abdullah's son of the titles that he's entitled to. Because the committee, the council that we will set up to together with the regent, that's why we said that we're going to limit him in his powers. And then the Kugana would, after the performance of the funeral of Na Muhammadu Abdullah, confer a title on him like the Rihanna, because there should be an authority that would confer that title.
Yaba Buri, the Intizang na Kubang by Kamana Yaba, Bima na Mama Kulna, Mana Yabishin Bang, Bayan Tutu Shelty na Mama Bima or Obachang Puntomun, Kayine.
So that is what we came up to this morning when we were deliberating over this.
There is never ban regime and Basham, but a bench Bokonko Basha.
And we need to be very fair to ourselves in terms of these actions.
If the
same judgment had gone against Na Yakubu and Dani as the appeal court did, the judgment had been in favor of Na Muhammadu Abdullah. We would have said that Na Muhammadu Abdullah takes precedence over Na Yakubu and Dani. But on the other hand, once it's vice versa, then the incumbent Yana takes precedence over the one that was by virtue of the circumstances. But in terms of the Supreme Court saying that we have to respect the position and the sons being recognized.
Nirmin nunca na ya kuka da malati ka undala nyi munji nan banda mazuma to ne na ya kuku bishakam mde tun.
In saying that, gentlemen, the Abutus, the Andanis, we are not saying that any one of you have won anything.
Ne bamene yelma baba yelmane aburil da danyele so nyen nasara.
No one has won the issue here because it's the peace that we want in Gabon.
Ne so nyen nasara to donten be yel changwa dinya diyen ta so duna.
And that in appointing the council, that is why we are saying 3 nominations from the Abutus, 3 nominations from the Andanis.
Ne dimi yem tige Pambama, the Tigan Nirvata, Apurile, Nirvata, and Daniel.
Together with the Kugana,
the Pana Yavazo.
We would implore the Kugana because there's that suspicion of bias towards the Abudus. We want the Kugana to be very fair to all manner of persons, all the three from the Abudu, all the 3 from the Abudu.
Ne Umperla Zilsoshele, Yabulin Mazan Chamna Yapulma, Nebu Borno Pamla Yap to more Jandi. Karapari na ayab kawan tuane bijana ayab zaya o bidan ya shele o zaya o mi poisara.
Because we know there are certain positions that should be filled before the funerals are performed.
Ne bamine l'oxygen bien ka tu ngar ka kulmana antamal.
Those positions must be filled in consultation with the council of 6, 3 from here, 3 from here, plus the
Kugan. Mi yangar. Dia nunglame ka shawara bi diyam tige yawa bulin nirvata yawa dan nirvata ntepa na yam ne bangla ma ban yan shin mbang din yan nusham kala la bo ma ngar ka kulmana mal.
So these are issues that must be clear.
Ne zo mama o bonu so kam balame enchibe.
Gentlemen, what we are saying is we go through this process up to the barrier and the forming of the council and the regency, and then we should have to come back here and then look at the funeral of Na Muhammad Abdullah.
Nous avons nous marqué un coulon tout duel ka swabuma swa ka bangma jile ka tanan lamnati tanan jine la toxe na mamar me kule ya to.
Certainly he died first and therefore his funeral must be performed first.
De munda danti utuzo okule ya dangmal.
Then after that the funeral of Naya Kupandani.
De jitin na ka Naya Kupulme de mal.
But before we do that, we would confer after the funeral the title that wherever we shall give to Na Muhammad Abdullah's son, so that he would lead the ND to go there. We would have to discuss.
Did love the Kana, then to tune when you to shelter, na Mamaro, Banana, the Nyentu or Boyine.
That to us, the committee members, should be the way forward.
Ne ban committee or the Yenye Furla and be able to cover.
I'm afraid under these circumstances, no one would win 100%.
Ne ogon no yelte kaman la ya to shelem bi mo sor tiarne on to kwel vague ye to ma yamanza
ko not in normal times.
Ne te jitam chelmo atri da bambe je de naba survient.
Never did you envisage that there would be this problem of 2 yanas on our hands.
Ne te so na ji duet tia kaman tentum yana mai. For
us, our forefathers to have envisaged the problems and solutions to that problem. But then we are making history now by enacting another customs and traditions where we think later, sometime to come, if the same issue come, God forbid, it should never happen. Dom jale la ben sarlan ama o no naun gafara naun yukono nampune ye toshel din no na sar la char nam jan. Because if we can look at this and look at the roadmap and then see to it that there are titles or skins given to the young men and they go, and then the new Yana is in place in the rotational system then would have to start, and no one in our lifetime should be allowed to abrogate, to go contrary to what is put in place.
I really built them by your torsion woman, and now it's a line ka the Malkuyamaka, Bangan Woma in there, Karaboyana Polo, good. Nanyaka, the Entilka Tabla Carla, and Lamna Tizan. Ne to me cool Glacha, that shall come so to Tinye, following in K and Lacha. la bun ma tete mal soel.
The funeral program would have to be revised because the three from here, together with the Kugana, would have to look at the funeral program of the Yano.
Ne de nan lati sahabi dan chang kulma na sorma e to don bozo ne retu ne DMP pamba tatala ne na yaba ntapa na yaba de jine mbang DM ba de shem.
And then when you agree on the dates where the burial and all the functions should be, it should be in conformity with the decisions of the six council.
Dabsama Mandian Nunshia. Nermitria Karian Nunkariela, nearby Woman to Pana Yab, and Bala Shawarma, Dabs, 9 United Dabs.
Up to the installation of the
Hal Entepage Bamajin,
where everybody, both sides, will be part of it.
Mazaha to be a Bama.
We don't want any one side to be left out of the process.
Never born Yashele Mutaka, Na Swama Muno Bamajin.
So that when we get to that point, then we shall come back here and then sit down then to look at the program for the funeral of Na Muhammad Abdullah.
Lo ne dit no na tin lamnati intishine na la bang here to say na mamar mi fulisha.
And that one too, the three from here, the three from there, the Kugana would all be involved as the regent would be involved in the planning of the funeral for Na Muhammad Abdullah.
Ne dem na mamar kulma mi beti amale. Boyam pi inirba yopshel yawa bulma yawa dan na yawa nte pa de tam na ku bangla engineer o ban na piane ka de jin baage de en shep ma na mamar kul.
And then as to which skin or whatever will be given to him will be decided also by the same committee.
Na te jin committee mana ka jin pamba na jin am bang tutu shel ben zang tu.
But that step would come after we've gone through the process of the burial up to the regency.
Nama don nan tutu na bera dum de yan kamana di soya na aka jiro bang na iya to ammo.
We must emphasize here that when it comes to the funeral of Na Muhammad, we will give a time limit for them to perform all the funerals.
Ne ol bla bon na pense on ne te kana Muhammad kulma amal bien tela sahashele kulma don tunna mal.
Then when it comes to the funeral of Naya, we will give a time limit for his regent also to perform.
Ne retla kana na ku ba kulma ka lat tam shele kulma na ku kulbani amal ku amal.
I know there's an issue about palaces there also.
Ne ona mine na yeye to abala bien.
The Wa Palace and the temporary palace.
Ne na il kuruma ne na il palma.
We are not going to create two parallel dynasties in Gabon.
Ne de bien cha na mai de Gabon.
So we shall come back when it gets to when we need the palaces to discuss the issues here before the funeral of Na Muhammad is performed and then before the funeral of Na Yakubu is performed.
Ne do zo tentala labna ke intala to jina jende diyen tennom sham de tiem mal na ma markul ne retien ne yam de tiem mal na akul.
We constructed a temporary palace because there was this issue about the old palace having been lost in and all that.
Ne dra mera yuru bumala dom dra yina ne ya yuru kuloma jima na pane ma de bla tu ne le bien.
So if the nominations of 6 plus the Kugana agree on the program, we will decide that we have to use the temporary palace that we all constructed for the burial of the Yana Yakub.
Ne result is that mama is the side ne de zala yubula and so in terrain so na Yakub.
No one should touch the old one. No one should go nearer the old one apart from the performance which all of you are going to do with the Yana Yakub in the temporary palace.
Ne somur ko tiang yil kurlama ne somur ko murlaba ne pala ye tokshel din yan na Yakub bangla zan tiang yil palama yil buman ni ka bi shaka membi.
I know there's a sentimental attachment to the Biwa Palace by the Abudus.
Ne omine hankal shele bien jan yaba bulin na zamte yil kurlama.
But the committee has not asked them to go there to perform any funeral. They come here, all of us will decide the way forward on that.
Ne committee mo me be yele ne abulin chamti ke yilmane non ye toshele
That palace belongs to DAGBON. It doesn't belong to Abudu alone. It belongs to all of them. So we are now concentrating on the burial of Yakubu and Dani to be performed in the temporary palace that we've constructed for the purposes of that.
There's the Hankal Zatu and the chant by Nayaku Sobo, the Mian Sodi, and Jella Yuman, and Tessoy Nayaku.
The Andanis are cautioned that that palace is also doesn't belong just to the Andanis, it belongs to the
Yilma Bola Bonupam, but Yavan Daniels will come out. Let you Buma Pala and Diane.
So no one should also pretend that the temporary palace belongs to the Andanis.
So you Murkutiane, Lela, you Buma Zella and Diane Zan.
That also belongs to the whole of DAGBON.
The Zajala Dabonza.
The burial of the Yakubu is the king of DAGBON.
Nena Bubliso Manela, Muninye Yana, Munushita Banza.
Gentlemen, that is the way forward that the committee thinks we should move along.
There's a committee man by Yeto Ashelam Barama.
Now we would ask the Sunlana and Mionlana to nominate 2 other people with them and 2 other people with them to form the Council of Elders.
There's only Obupa Burcha, what yet can you have Sunlana, many young lamb nearby Pab Manzo, Karapa, Lala Nirvata, T-shirt, Bayerma, Pamama.
You wanted to clarify something?
Your Majesties, before they go ahead to do their nominations, the Kuka now would want to appeal to you to appeal to both sides, to pick people who are conversant with the custom, so that it will curtail unnecessary.
The 2 of them, Mionlana and Sunlana, should be conversant with the custom.
Yes.
And so they should teach their children the customs and rather their customs.
Yes. The Kugana
is also the purpose of customs. So
yes.
You should be able also to educate them.
Yes.
If he has not educated them by now, we should start.
Yeah, he tried, but they wouldn't come near him.
All right.
Yes.
Anyway, we will see how it goes.
And also, you mentioned the old palace. The old palace consisted of 4 dwelling places. It is one that you are referring to. I want that to be made clear. Katne is part of the old palace, and that's where the Yana will be interned.
No, that one is not.
So when you talk about palace, I want it to be clarified that Katne is not included in the one that you are excluding us from going to. Katne is where the mausoleum is, and Nayakubu will be intended. So if that is clarified.
Thank you for the clarification. Right. But that's it. So, Mion, 3 children, 3 of your sons and brothers, and 2 to add to you. Yes, Mion.
I cannot say it now, but until we go to I get it.
The 2 of them?
Yeah.
I know Colette knows much about it and he'll be very probably. Okay, go and think about it and let me know.
No, we are not going back. We are not going
to consult here, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Do that as a father. Yes. Everybody, you are excused for some few minutes, consult, and then let us have 2 names. But both the Mion would be head for up to Sunlana will be head for Andani. Andani side.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Mention the names.
The Andani
Please listen to the committee members.
royal family are nominated the following to represent them on the Council of Elders. Sunlana Abdullah Muhammad as the leader of the Andani family. Unkomlana Sini Ziblim, unfortunately he is not here with us. Then Panna MD Bawa. But they have asked me to convey to Your Majesties that they would still like us to stick to the 10th of April 2006 barrier, that if they could meet, the elders could meet, so that we stick to the barrier and managing 10.
No, we don't have to do things to suit any particular person. We want the peace.
Ne Ankaram Andayel ne Pi Nashabe ne Bazane Lala Pamba Yola Zane Yapsung Lane ne Mbapro Kunkonglana, Mbapro Panna, Okale Paye Tama Yukone Yelne, Soma Atandale Nasara Boy Dirata Ma Irbormuni, Telenon Besor Bonner non Beshaw, Dian Opapane.
See, the program has been run without their involvement. We are now setting up a council.
Ne Dumba Shawarama, ne Yabul Nama Drabe, and Malba Shawarama Pai.
We've come that far to this point. We are just getting to it, so we need to do things in a more proper way.
Ne
There will be no suspicion or anything.
Netien La Boyom Lama, they didn't put us this one, only because you talk about.
But once we've had the 3 nominations, Mion, you've heard the names. Those are your sons and brothers or your nephews that you're going to work with.
Obara Yamyana, no Yama, ne Danye, Onahasebi, or Dapara, Bayam Pai, Pabuat Pipana, the Bar Shawana.
The 3 from this side also.
Ne Yabu, Yabaka Shabam.
Your Excellency, we cannot do the nomination now. Why? I am at Samu and not at Yendi. And all the custodians are in Yendi. So unless I go to consult them before we do this thing. Your Excellency, confusion has already started here. People and then family have started pouring powders for them and shouting outside. It has come to our notice.
And then Sambana, and then Parla Pura Borg, Tokavina Sara.
They are sitting there, I don't see any powder on them.
Nana boy, and they can't be Shikoma, Tinya Kapura.
Yes, I'm seeing them here. Please clarify, because they are sitting here, I cannot see any powder on any one of them. Why? Where is the powder business? Where is it? Just let me know. Because they are here.
Well, we have to do what you want, and where are they doing it? Then everybody should be quiet.
Where are they? Who are these?
Your Majesty, members and sympathizers of the Andani family outside the place. Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, I think that yesterday when we left here in the evening, my brothers from the Abudu side, when they go immediately outside the security gate, they started booing and cheering. I think that what is happening maybe is similar to what happened yesterday. But those doing it, we do not know them. But when we left, we only sat outside. Nobody went outside the security gate. Since I said to also it is a winter in my dema, so you have a tip that. From my TV to the man,
Gentlemen, what happens in here is what matters, not what happens outside We have not even issued any official statement. That was even a comment that Kole made this morning, that someone made an announcement on the radio. What comes out would be officially from the committee. So for now, whatever, because when he said the powder, I was just looking at them because I was going to ask them where from the powder. That's why I was looking at them. As far as I'm concerned and this committee is concerned, the Nairi, Yabunra and myself, no one has won this case, no one has lost that. The one who has won is Yana and Dani Yakubu, that we are getting to the process of going to buy. If we're able to follow, then he fortunately would be winning, but not in one of you. It would be a shame to jubilate or think that we won when we are suffering and we want to find solutions to the problem. Gentlemen, it is in our own interest, both the Andanis and the Abudus, that we have come that far today, and that's what we have to pursue. What has happened in here is what matters, not what is happening out there. For now, what we need, there are 3 nominations from here. We need 3 nominations from the Abudu side so that we can form the Council of Elders together with the Kugana in Yendi or Kuga. And then we will make sure that we enforce what we have decided here. So Mionala would let us know how soon he can give us the names of the 3 nominations to
let's get back to me and what immediately you get back to me, you will get
we let you know that we don't want that to hamper the progress that we are doing. So we are saying that the Abulis should be involved in the planning the funeral of everything. The council, together with the Kugana, we're going to sit down to discuss the program. If we had gotten the names today, we would have inaugurated it today and then send a message together with because the Nairi and the Yabonra's emissaries would have gone to the Kugana to inaugurate the council and then start working immediately. So I think what we shall do is that as soon as the names are ready, because there should be a time frame on it. Today is Thursday.
Yes.
When do you get back to by today.
No.
By today. You have the names of them.
Ne zanchen now just on busanye yema na entete famama.
Ne zanchen beso beso paye.
Ne zanchen now just on bisa paye ma. The Sunglana is saying that it's unfortunate that his uncle Myanglana is not able to get the two thieves in addition to himself for you, because he thinks that my grandfather, the Naire Potumfo, my grandfather, the Dobongura, if you have brought us this far and just to get the names of two chiefs in addition to himself is going to, take some other deeds. He thinks it's not fine. He's here with people with wisdom, and he thinks that there are capable chiefs among the Abudu royalty who could be members of that committee. Sunglana is saying that once you have given your blessings, the committee of eminent kings, once you have given your blessings for the burial of the late Yana, they would want to crave the indulgence of the committee and to plead with my grandfather to get the members here so that the program, just here discussed it, Monday they can go ahead with the burial.
So beyond the saying that
yes, our brothers that are Ghanaians have a program of burial and excrement of the religions before they came here. They had a program of the burial and the excrement of the religion before they came here.
And then kind of
it's just here that we had the information. Even though we represent Abudu family, that is not all the Abudu family. So Majesty, you remember very well, there was an issue similar like this, and our brothers asked for permission to go home and consult before bringing in the feedback. So it's similar, we are still saying
the regent of Tamale is saying that when death occurs, we have the head of the family before the funeral becomes a public property.
So the fire,
what the regent of Tamale is saying is that once you have brought us this far, they will want to plead that they go ahead with the burial, and he's saying that the Myanglana has been informed traditionally, but Myanglana is saying he has not been informed, but he's saying that before he gets home, he was here when they are sent word to inform the Myanglana about this program. In Gabon, we have chiefs who are resident in Yendi, responsible for chiefs who are outside Yendi. and that the baronet ran to inform him that he wanted to do his customary work. He told him to hold on, they were yet to come and meet with your committee, your majesty. But he said the other traditionalists have taken the lead to inform people who they are supposed to inform, be it an Abuja, and then they have taken the lead to this.
So, Babanum Kirme, Katababanum Kira, Mumabaki, Munasu Dazalo, Munasu Yanswat, Kale Yele Amadibu, when you lose your father, it is you, the immediate family, who decides when barrier or when funeral is to be performed, before you then inform your extended family, and this is what we are doing now. But the program is to be drawn by the immediate family. So, don't cut socially. The committee need about Telestan. When need about Tapamo, when to the Tukuntus, don't show a casual bangoma. Then Zan number, you to saw casual bang, can need about Tatala, Kamnali Labra, the committee on the board.
So, once you are giving your blessing for the barrier and the installation of the regency, when we fail with that, then the committee of the committee from both sides will then come and meet with your committee to see the way forward.
So, Kari Toshana didn't pay Bambusma, Ama Kuyuna, Kuyudor Kemusu, Munyanga, Benesu.
That we have what the family does and what what the family does according to tradition before the extended family, what they also do.
Dans le Kamba, tenons pour le grand chemin, tout cela pour le mal, tenons souillard à Nassau, nous en tournons nous dire soit
the program was drawn by the immediate family and given to the Kuwana as the acting president to lead them to do the barrier. It is our father who has done. So he is going to lead us to do the barrier, and before every other person will be involved in the the Kuwana is responsible for the culture and tradition, but the funeral itself, that's the barrier is for the immediate family.
Those who eat it in the Tukul to soil. This is not your commenting what not a shopma. The soil. Then some more put you got to soil. The Magaruba, Pungaruba, Mapunatona at Biki, the Puntama Yakatuzo. Look to me, the young
his uncle and Antona that they have informed you all have to be there.
So, we
want to get the blessing when we get
Now, if you tell them that under normal circumstances with the customary rights of DAGBON, I know that immediate family plans it and do it even before the actual funeral comes for everybody. But he knows we are not in normal times. That is why we've had to bend here and there. Just to have the peace that we want. We know that, yes, it is the responsibility of the immediate family to bury Naya Kubuafa. But because at this time, the circumstances that we are in, and to avoid any controversies and misunderstandings, that is why we said we form a council. So the program definitely would have been drawn by the immediate family. But that program that has been drawn by the immediate family must be discussed by the council that we are choosing, so that there's that sense of involvement.
Ne den nonka na ko dom yijine bourse kulmania nonka ma ne zo kabene pamba do ma ba jima ba shawara kara wuka ma so kabza hanu pier.
That is why we are asking the Abdis also to nominate 3 people.
Zo kabene yawa mu namba pinde ba ta kara pahama.
So that the program that has been drawn by the immediate family, they would also look at it and then discuss this, and so give the Yana a fitting back. It doesn't change the custom. It doesn't change the tradition. If the names have been ready now, obviously by today's Thursday, by say Saturday, Sunday, you could sit down, discuss the program, then you could then implement. Then everybody. The onus is on the Abudus, because we are giving you the opportunity to come back to the mainframe, so that all of us will be one to carry our Father. So they would nominate 3 people. Just let us be. You see, there's no point in rushing where we have gotten to spoil the whole thing again. We have come that far. If they have to go to do consult, because I knew that just as the Sunlana acted, Miolana could have done that, to nominate 2 people there. He says, please give me permission to go and consult, and then let me nominate 2. I'm trusting his judgment to do that. He holds a position of responsibility in Dagbon. And therefore, he has to go by his word. If he doesn't do that, it will be an indictment on him. So let us plead, because whenever we want to perform the funeral, we can do it. But don't let us rush when we have agreed that this is the way forward for all of us. Today is Thursday. By the time you get to Yendi today or tomorrow, I want to have the nominations, because you have the people in Yendi. What I would suggest is that I want the names given to us, faxed to us, but those names I would implore the Nairi and the Gabonra, they will be there, so that those names will be added to the 3, and the 3 would add to the 3 to go to the Kugana. The name should be given to the Kugana by Saturday. By Saturday. And I should have it here, so that we want to inform them these are the 3 people. And then a meeting could be convened immediately to discuss the funeral program. As has been done by the immediate family. And then before the funeral can go on, the burial can go on. So that's the position. When initially had the Kugana plan to do the burial? Monday. And do you think when they came with the names on Saturday, it would be appropriate to start immediately on Monday? no, let's be fair to ourselves.
Ne de tu
We can always look at it.
te ye toma ne de tu ne biasa. Ne o tu ko fam ne ka bondel ka de boxe ne soma. Ai ka yo ya tane. Ne bole deraka. O va ne ka ya bul ne yi zang biya na asaba da. Ne to la ji mitin ma un va ta ma ka soma tu so atan. Ne te bole ye toma pa. To ko ye
The Kugan has represented. Do you think, because we can always postpone it for about a week, it doesn't matter. So let's look at it objectively. Take your time, look at it properly, because let's do the right things. That they will have time to go to the Kugan.
Voilà, ben il temps pour tout changna y a sans compétition vient hier.
And then whatever responsibilities is assigning to that we know.
Na yam ni petit tu cher tu so kan pas so kan mil.
Because of the time frame, showing them the notice and everything, if they came up with the names like say on Saturday. If you rush them to say Monday, we need to be very careful.
Ne de tu ne te non te ma ne te pas no ser pour moi.
Your Majesty, I crave your indulgence. We have conferred with each other, consulted with each other, and we think that under the circumstances, if the burial will take place on Friday the 8th October, which is 7th April, that is
tomorrow's week. That's Friday's week.
Yes. The 8th will be the first offer.
I hear that there will be some elections around your area there.
If you look at 10th, it will be better.
The 10th
is too low.
Yes.
We have no objections to the 10th.
The 10th of April.
Yes.
Nere dunia dondide jinka pa moye lam le jine nere ba kama la kan mota kena kan ma ka obona ya tuma na ya tuma na bare daba ani ko daba ani ka ba ko banda isi ne jinno japsia na sarwa japsia nere kan don hal daba ni ma ba de vum on ba il
So that is fine, thank you. So that if you inform the Bugana for me that we thank him for the program, but because the sons here have not been involved, we would believe that it goes to the 10th. So we have agreed that the process will go on the 10th of April.